Welcome back to the Student Hub Live. In this session, we take a look at how the library can help with postgraduate studies. Now, I know that there are a lot of undergraduate students out there, and you'll be very interested to know about the help and support that the library team can give you, and also some of the resources and training sessions that they deliver that will be very, very useful to you, even if you're not at postgraduate study quite yet. Now, the library team are amazing. Anne was saying that they're just brilliant. She had a broken link to something and a quick web chat later, and the link was there for her. So I'm really glad you had a positive experience, Anne. We heard a lot more this morning from Wendy about various things, including Sconul access and library search. But Fiona is here to tell us a little bit more specifically about postgraduate study. Now, Fiona, you're an academic liaison librarian, and you specialise in supporting education amongst many other things. And you've worked with many of the module teams, and we've heard earlier how many library skills are embedded within the curriculum anyway, so students might wander through without knowing all of the hard work that you've dedicated putting in skills like literature searching. And we also spoke earlier about some of the training sessions that the library team deliver. But some of our students may not have been there tonight, so we can duplicate some of this here. Let's have a quick overview of the resources and training and the Sconul access that seems to be all over social media on the OU Facebook page at the moment.
Yes, we're very busy with Sconul access at the moment. But I'll just start with the resources, actually. So the key place to go is select your resources for your study, education, and there's actually a link to it on the resources page for Student Hub Live, so it's really easy to find. And of course there's the library website itself with library search on it, and that's a really good way to find things in the library, particularly e-books. We have lots of e-books and lots on educational topics. It's an amazing collection these days. We have a lot of journals, obviously, and again, you can find articles using library search. At postgraduate level, you might possibly be thinking about using a specialist database rather than library search, because one of the things about library search is it's searching across about 450 different databases, so you can get a lot of irrelevant stuff. So if you're having trouble with searching for information, you might want to use a specialist database like British Education Index or ERIC, which is the American education database. And we also have a collection of full-text education journals in Education Research Complete. So those are just a few databases to look out for. And Karen specially asked me to mention SAGE research methods because she loves it.
Yes, we have to mention SAGE research methods.
This is an amazing database for people who are doing research. It contains hundreds of books and encyclopedias and dictionaries about research methodology, and particularly in the social sciences. And you may actually find that in your modules in the Masters in Education that we have integrated bits of SAGE research methods. I know this because I helped do it.
Fact.
It's a fact.
It was my gavel, actually, when I need it.
Yes, so there are bits of SAGE research methods already integrated into the Masters modules, and you may not realise it, but you click on a link and you just go straight into the
Which
database.
can save you a fortune. Because,
Absolutely.
I mean, in addition to the fact that the library subscribes to pretty much every single database and you can get everything for free on it, which is incredible, often students will buy a lot of books, research methods books, and it's incredibly handy to be able to get specific chapters to refer to and to read.
Yes, there is. It's an amazing resource, SAGE research methods. It's probably one of the best databases out there with all these different kinds of methodologies in it. And it comes in several different bits, actually. And another bit that's really useful is SAGE research methods cases, where they actually take a piece of research and they analyse the methodology that was used and why it was used in that particular context. So it's definitely worth looking up.
Okay, so two things you've mentioned. One is the access to loads and loads of stuff, and the other is the ability to search for things using various ways, library search and specific databases. Some people, though, might be reading a paper and wanting to access something from the references, and Google Scholar is another big source where students might say, for example, want to see what's been cited most in an area. What's your advice then about linking some of these things, and how might they utilise non-library tools with library services?
Right, Google Scholar is a really amazing tool. It's the academic version of Google, so it's actually searching things like an enormous number of academic journals, conference proceedings, reports and that kind of thing. It's a really good place to start research, actually, because you can find so much stuff. And it's a Google search engine. It's quite a good search engine, actually.
Now, you've got a tip for linking this, haven't you?
That's right, yes. When we actually have an FAQ on the library website about how you can actually link Google Scholar to the library's subscriptions, because one of the downsides of searching Google, of course, is that you may not have access to the full text. But you can link what we've subscribed to in the library with Google Scholar, and you get a little link which says find it at OU. And you click on this, and if we've paid for it, then you go straight into it. So you can use Google Scholar as your search engine if you want to. Also, one of the things to bear in mind is that it's not searching things like our ebook collections, it's only looking at journal articles. So it really depends on what sort of information you're looking for, whether you want to use Google Scholar. And there's really no reason why you shouldn't use Google Scholar and Library Search, you know, to make sure that you're finding the right kind of information. And you'll be particularly wanting to get the hang of how to do this properly for when you come to do the dissertation part of the Masters, because you'll be doing a lot of independent research.
Yes, we'll talk about a lot of managing things in a second, but first I want to ask, you've asked our audience a very broad question, which is uncharacteristic for a librarian. How often do you use the library? Always, sometimes, or hardly ever? Now, 79% of people either always or sometimes use the library. Only 21% say hardly ever. So that's a very different thing, because we had the same widget earlier today with our undergraduate students earlier on, whom were much higher in terms of hardly ever used the library. So clearly our postgraduate students appreciate and understand the value of the library and are regularly using their services. But when you start using the library, of course, you end up with a lot of stuff.
This is right, yes.
Yeah. And then what do you do with all of that stuff? How do you manage that information? Are there tools that you can use to help you collate and keep it in a decent order?
Yes, certainly. Just before we get into that, I'd just like to have a quick plug for a couple of library training sessions. So tomorrow evening at 19:30, we're running a session called Smarter Searching with Library Databases.
Yes.
And this gives you some advanced search techniques to use with the databases, and will help you to find more relevant results so you don't end up with a lot of stuff, hopefully. And we're also running another session on Thursday, which is a question and answer session about the new library search, because we've got a new interface to library search. So if you've studied with us before, you'll find that it's changed quite a bit. And that will go into details of how you can get the best out of library search, and again, limiting your results so that you get what you want rather than a lot of stuff.
And that's on the 26th and the 27th of September. So if you're watching on Catch Up, the library do a lot of events, and you can find that on the library website on the training details.
That's right. So you can attend the live session, or there will also be a recording as well if you can't manage the live session. But it's always much more fun to go to live sessions, I think.
It absolutely is. Right. Reference management tools then, Fiona.
Right, OK. Well, let's first of all start with managing the information that you get. And I've actually got something from DD804, Crime and Global Justice, which I've nicked on your behalf.
Borrowed, but you've cited.
That's right, yes. I'm referencing it correctly, yes. So this is a template that they use on this Social Science Masters module, where they have sort of a small table. And one of the key things that you can see here is that they actually have a proper Harvard reference for the actual reading that you're doing, and then you have a sort of a template of key arguments, key evidence, key theories, and cases and real life applications. So this is one way of doing it. It's not set in stone, but it's really quite useful if you can manage all the information you're going to be finding as a master's student using something like tables in Word or an Excel spreadsheet. Some people in the past, and maybe even today, use cards, 5x3 index cards, and that's another way of doing it. So it's really the method that it suits you best.
But the key point here, like in our previous session before, we were talking to Jill about critical thinking, and ultimately this idea of deconstructing, being able to take a piece of evidence and compare it with other things. The point here, I guess, is that this table gives you a framework of not actually including the narrative account of the article, but again looking at the way that it applies to you in your particular setting.
Absolutely, yes. And you'll also find that on the resources page that there's a link to an activity called organising and synthesising information, which you might find useful as well. So that's basically organising the information, thinking about it by themes, by arguments, rather than just sort of writing out notes on the whole article. Another thing that we can use for managing a number of references are reference management tools. I don't know if you've got around to using one yet, Karen?
No, I haven't.
we talked about this some time ago, didn't we?
We did, and I haven't, because I'm still on bits of paper, Fiona. I really like
You're using the cards, are you?
But do you know what? I really understand the value of it, far beyond actually being able to collate and pull my references into one point and take them with me, because your arguments shift, and I keep meaning to do tables. It's finding the time, as you know. I'm a terrible example to people, but I want to do it. But again, it's that sort of thing of how much time is invested in sort of changing my strategy. So I think all new students should do this, but how might I go about doing it then if, for example, you're sort of stuck in the middle of something and all of a sudden you want to pick up something new like this, and where is the benefit in doing it?
Well, definitely with reference management tools, it's a really good way of keeping your references all together in one place and being able to output them in a reasonable style, so that you can use it with Word and when you're writing up. And a reference management tool will also have things like a notes field where you can things like wonderful quotes and the arguments and things like that in it. We don't recommend a particular tool in the library because there's quite a few really good free ones out there. So the ones we mention on the bibliographic management page, and again there's a link to that page on the resources part of the Student Hub Live. The ones we recommend, well, we don't recommend, but we mention are Mendeley, Zotero and EndNote. And there's two versions of EndNote. One is a free online version and another one is a quite expensive desktop tool, which is the Rolls Royce of these tools and probably not suitable even for master's students.
Excellent. And the library help desk we must mention because, well, as Anna said earlier, they helped her find a link to an article. When can students contact the help desk, and are they there just to firefight, or can they give more strategic guidance for students?
Yes, students can certainly contact us with subject reference inquiries. So you say, I'm really struggling finding information on this topic. What do you suggest? What databases should I use? That kind of thing. We can certainly give advice on that. The help desk runs with email. You can contact us by email, you can contact us by telephone, and you can also contact us by web chat. And we're there 9 till 5, Monday to Friday, the OU librarians. And we have a 24/7 web chat, which is actually based as an international cooperative. So at 3 in the morning, if you're needing library help, you just use the web chat and you'll be speaking to somebody in California. So how cool is that?
That's excellent and very, very appropriate for many students who are doing things at 3 in the morning, as I am well familiar with. Well, that has been a really, really interesting and brief overview of the library services, Fiona, but thank you so much for telling us all about that. And as Fiona says, there are a lot of sessions that the library do, so do check those out later this week, and there are plenty more throughout the academic year. You also do things on literature searching, don't you, and a variety of topics that are really appropriate.
That's right, yes, we do.
So keep an eye on the library website and the events that they've got coming up, and they also have a Facebook page which they tell you about events that are on, so that's a very handy thing if you're into social media also. So thank you, Fiona.
Right, thank you for having me.
Well, that ends our show for today. We've covered an awful lot about undergraduate and postgraduate study. HJ, is everyone still awake at home?
It seems everyone's made it through. It's because they've had all that food with low glycemic index, so they've made it through. I'm off to have some curry, porridge, beans and cheese all together. I'm not sure if that's still got a low glycemic index together, but find out if I'm still awake tomorrow. But it's been great chatting to everyone. There's been fantastic contributions, people sharing their advice, thoughts and comments and questions for our guests. So we're really excited to be back on the desk tomorrow. And just looking at the map where everyone's been from as well, there's a nice spread of people from all over the UK, Ireland, and some people from Europe as well. So it's great having everyone join us. And just remember, anything we haven't mentioned or we've missed in the chat or you think about later, just email us studenthub@open.ac.uk and we'll be more than happy to get back to you.
Well, thank you so much, HJ. You've been wonderful chatting to everyone at home. And I know we've had some wonderful comments today as well about people saying how nice it is to be able to connect with the academic team at the Open University. And we've certainly enjoyed putting this on. I know that the team in Education, Childhood, Youth and Sport are delighted to welcome all their new students to this module. And they really, really hope that you have a fantastic year. And for those of you who are already continuing, good luck in your studies. If you enjoyed today's session, we've got more lined up tomorrow. We'll be talking about lots of things like time management, academic writing, and all sorts of things. You can check out the programme on the Student Hub Live website. And we also have specific sessions about writing in Adobe Connect. So there's plenty to get engaged with throughout the new start of the academic year, and also many other sources of support. We've heard from the library, we've heard from the student support team and your tutor, who will be getting in touch very shortly if you're just starting in the October presentations, to make contact with you. The catch-up will be available very shortly after this event, and will also be on our YouTube channel, where you can access hours of content on a range of different subjects. So please do take a look there. And that's all from us today at the Student Hub Live. Enjoy your studies, and we hope to see you at another event very soon. Bye for now.